completely based out of India. So our hub is in Hyderabad. So I'm from the Singapore APAC office, so I'm here to support the India sales team itself. So 14 offices across 12 different countries. So if you look at the Asia Pacific, let's just talk Asia Pacific today, right? So in terms of coverage, so offices in Shanghai, in China, in Hong Kong, in Tokyo, India in Hyderabad, as well as Singapore for ASEAN, and office in Melbourne for Australia, as well as Christchurch in New Zealand. So pretty much a very much north to south global operations in terms of coverage. We are headquartered in the UK, Manchester, in UK, London, and we have 10 data centers across 3 continents, and over 37 billion being transacted on our platform on an annual basis. Okay, I spoke about this, and a big chunk of it is actually based out of our India office. 1.9 billion being transportation transactions processed annually on our platform itself. 4.5 billion boxes shipped annually on our platform. And 7,500 customers worldwide. So a lot of folks actually ask me and say that, you know, Joseph, all great, BluJay Solutions, but who actually is BluJay Solutions? The brand name seems relatively new. A lot of people don't know our background and so forth. So just to give a bit more history and a bit more context as well. We've been in business for over 45 years. We were previously known as BluJay Solutions, based out of the UK. In India, we were previously known as Forsoft as well. So a fair bit of acquisitions has happened over the years itself. The branding is brand new. I just celebrated our 2-year anniversary on the branding change. So the branding is 2 years old, but we've been in business for 45 years. We're private equity owned, so we are owned by Francisco Partners as well as Temasek Holdings out in Singapore. So pretty much a private company, but with a global presence. Okay, so the survey background. So like I promised, 3 to 5 minutes company, directly into the survey platform. Okay, so the first question that we asked was, is customer experience becoming more critical to supply chain performance? Right, and I think we receive that request daily from our customers. Our customers call our shipping clerks, our customer service clerks and so forth, and ask them, say, where's my shipment? Where's my incoming? Where's my outgoing? And so forth. It happens daily. We as logisticians, we face that on a daily basis, right? And the next question that we ask, what is driving supply chain innovation? You'll be surprised as I speak to a lot of customers across the region. That means I run the whole of Asia Pacific. I still see a lot of customers that are very manual. They do all their shipping bookings, they do all their so-called management of tracking a customer, calling them and asking where's my package, and they have to call their carriers and so forth. A lot of those are very manual currently, even in today's context. What is stalling supply chain innovation? And you hear that, right? You hear that supply chain always, innovation is put in the back burner, right? And supply chain folks, always, we run out of time. We run out of that 24/7. We run out of time. We're always working the additional hours, especially at the end of the quarter, at the end of the month, where we want to make sure that every single outgoing gets booked, right? The revenue depends on us. How do we help our companies to hit their revenue targets and so forth? And manufacturing, not just the outbounds, but the inbounds as well. How do we make sure that we receive the inbounds on time? How do we make sure that we help our manufacturing hit their targets and to be able to stock our warehouses for the outgoings and so forth? And the questions that we asked through this survey as well is, what technology will pull the next wave of innovation through supply chain? So let me share with you. Okay, this survey was done in 2018 March, so exactly almost like 1 year ago. So we reached out to all the retailers, the manufacturers, logistics services providers across the globe, and we targeted on our network itself, members that were above 250 million in terms of size. So pretty sizable organizations that we reached out to for this particular survey. The full survey report is available on the link itself. I think this presentation will still also be available for download after this particular session. Okay. So what is supply chain innovation? It's not well understood or universally defined. One company's supply chain innovation is another company's process improvement. So how do we actually define that supply chain innovation, right? And also does not have to be groundbreaking. It could be very incremental. And we all know the incremental improvements are the ones that have the most daily impact, that will impact our daily lives the most, and the one that will bring bring that momentum. Once we have those small incremental improvements, that's where we can build into a larger improvement as we move ahead. Customer experience drive innovation at the supply chain leaders. For example, if you guys are dealing with carriers on a daily basis, they're way ahead in terms of the innovation, in terms of their digitalization phase, right? A lot of you guys could be already on EDIs with the carriers, could already be on their portals to track your systems and so forth. But you must remember your contracts as manufacturers, as logisticians in this particular room, your contracts is not just with one particular carrier. It could be across multiple carriers and so forth. How do you harmonize that data? How do you move that data from your carrier's platform onto your platform? How do you drive reporting? How do you drive business intelligence from the data that is collected at your carrier system? Okay. Technology plays an important role because of scalability. It's easy for us to go out there and say that, hey, we want to do a pilot for this particular technology, we want to do a pilot on certain CX factor for customer satisfaction, we want to do a pilot for this particular manufacturing hub and so forth. But technology allows us to scale across different plants, national-wide, global-wide. That's how technology comes in. Okay, so some highlights. So the question that we ask is, how would you rate your company's overall supply chain performance relative to your peers in the industry? So it's kind of an eyeful. Let me help you to kind of digest and orientate you how to see this particular slide. It took me about 30 seconds to also digest this slide when I first got it. Okay, so we segment into two so-called segment of players. We have the innovators and the early adopters, as well as the laggards and the late majority. That means those that were just because of customers saying that, hey, all your competition is on it, please deliver a similar solution to me and so forth. So we call that as the laggards and the late majority. So you can see that the innovators and the early adopters have a significant, slightly above average, significantly above average, slightly above average. If you see the total add up, 57.45% and 23.4%. They rate their supply chain performance compared to their peers, right, as above average, slightly above average and significantly above average. So, but when we compare that with the laggards and late majority, and you look at the significantly below average and slightly below average, so you see that 56.1% and the 12.2%, you can see that the laggards as well as the late majority rate their own supply chain performance as actually below average. Tells you very significantly as to where that innovation is being focused on, is that customer experience, right? So almost 9 out of the 10 companies that we surveyed with expect to be competing primarily on customer experience, customer service within the next 5 years? Because there is some harmonization within the industry itself. A lot of what carrier A can do versus carrier B can do, I would say that the service level is becoming almost harmonized across so-called the industries as well. So customer experience, customer service is one of the key differentiator in the market space itself. Okay. The next question that we ask, what factors are driving innovation? And we always see this. These three are the top priorities of all management meeting when supply chain meets the management for priority, for so-called what's our next initiative within supply chain and so forth. First of all, I would say to reduce costs and to deliver a enhanced customer experience. So surprisingly, even before the survey result, I thought that to reduce costs would be having a much higher so-called ranking. But we were pleasantly surprised that to reduce costs as well as to having an enhanced customer experience was ranked on the same level, right? Because we serve our customers. And to create a competitive advantage will be the next, these are the top three that we actually got from our survey results itself. So it's very telling. Okay. So what are the factors driving innovation for shippers versus the logistics services provider? So what are the top three factors driving supply chain innovation at your company? All right, so we kind of just put it into a different chart, but it's the same. To reduce costs, become more cost competitive, to deliver and enhance customer experience, and to create a competitive advantage. Okay, the customer experience drive innovation among the supply chain leader. So a lot of this innovation is actually driven by our customers' demands. The customers say, hey, this is what I need in terms of service. These are the data that I require. So we have both shippers, manufacturers in this particular room, but we have logistics service providers as well, right? So a lot of the logistics service providers today, their innovation is also driven by the requirements from the shipper, from the manufacturers to say that, hey, my management requires me to run business intelligence, BIs, and analysis on this particular data and so forth. Are you able to provide me with that? Or my customers are asking me on a daily basis, where's my shipment? How can you help me to actually so-called enable that so that there's better supply chain visibility? So just to pull everything out, I think this is being so-called truncated off with the sofas itself. But just to give everyone a bit of navigation on this particular slide. So if you can see that the blue column is the innovators and the early adopters. The next will be laggards, late majority, above average performance and below average performance, right? So if we can see, let me see whether the pointer works. No, it's a bit too light. Okay. So you can see that if you see the second column is to deliver an enhanced customer experience. So remember we spoke about reducing costs, which is this particular, the first column on the right, and to create a competitive advantage, that's on the left. So in the middle is to create an enhanced customer experience. Okay, so if you can see that 36% of the top ranked innovators as well as early adopters also directly correlates with the top rank in terms of above average supply chain performance. So I think the summary is that we kind of see that the innovators and the early adopters versus supply chain performance, there seems to be a direct correlation after a couple of so-called different survey results that we have and the data that we churn. There is a direct correlation in terms of innovating in your supply chain as well as having that even that internal view, that internal rank of having that above average supply chain performance. So let me change tack right now. Let me change some speeds as to what are some of the barriers that we face as logisticians in this particular room, in terms of what are the barriers for supply chain innovations. And this was the response that we got from all the respondents itself. So number one, the existing IT systems are outdated. It could be legacy systems that were in place. It could be from a merger and acquisitions. You could be having 4, 5 different legacy systems from your different acquisitions over the years and so forth. We all face that, right? We all face that. Siloed system of processes. Manufacturing might be on one particular system. Supply chain could be on another particular system. Your carriers could be on another particular system. Your warehouse, you could be outsourced, could be on another particular system itself. So very siloed systems as well as processes. They don't talk to each other. There's no collaboration between each of the systems as well. Lack of flexibility as well as innovation at the supply chain partners. That's it. All of us cannot be working with the top 50 LSPs of the world on a daily basis. Because coverage, just look at India, the coverage for India itself. You know, yes, you'll be good, you'll be fantastic if I can work with the top 10 players in the market space every day, but there are pockets within India itself that you will work with the mom and pop shops. Small players, maybe four vans and so forth for the last mile deliveries and so forth. So how do you get them on board? How do you get them on board on the supply chain innovation cycle as well? Right? So those are questions that we ask. You know, how do we enable them? How do we bring them onto the systems itself? Do we have carrier portals? Do we have mobility apps that they can download on their phones and so forth to be able to feed those data into the system itself? Lack of support from IT and other functional groups. You know, this is always a cat and mouse game, right? Whether or not you bring your supply chain innovation externally with an external vendor, or you try to develop something so-called internally. It's always a so-called a cycle. But with today's context, if you talk to any technology provider out there, right now it's all SaaS. It's like a mobile phone subscription. Right? Today is the right time in order for you to get on board in terms of innovation. It's no longer the old days where you're talking about, hey, I need like $1 million or $2 million to up a supply chain solution for my particular organization. Right now, if you talk to any vendors out there, you know, be it us, be it our competitors and so forth, it's all about SaaS, it's all about subscriptions, a mobile phone subscription. Today, I want to turn on, it could be 60 days later, we deliver it, we configure the system, and we start delivering, and it could be based on subscription. How much you use, how much freight booking you use on the system, how many carriers on board, how many of the smaller carriers that come on board, that could all be worked out. Very easy to use, very easy to turn on, very easy to implement. And that's what I love when I talk to the CFOs of the world, because the ROI can be hit within the first year. A lot of the times previously when we talk about ROI, hey, we look at total cost of ownership, we look at 3 to 5 years kind of return. But it has changed. It has changed dramatically that right now I'm talking to customers on a 9-month ROI, 6 months ROI. Very quickly within the first year we can hit our ROI. Right? So just to share another survey that you can download this white paper from the BluJay website. It's another survey on ROI. Across all our customers, the 7,500 customers that we kind of spoke about just now, we actually did a survey in terms of the ROI, and we said the first year ROI we looked at is about 7 to 14%. Just on the first year ROI itself. So it then becomes a, hey, I need supply chain innovation because of visibility. I need supply chain innovation because my customers require it. It becomes a compliance, visibility discussion you change it with your own organization into a business benefit discussion. Telling your management, telling your bosses, saying that, hey, I'm looking at it at a more business benefit discussion. How do we move into more automation? How do we move into more innovation? How do we create better value for our customers? How do we bring that ROI within our organization itself? Okay. And of course, change management hurdles, and that's where we can have that discussion to help you. Okay, so it's the same. Let me just quickly go through. Oops, okay. So the high impact technology, we also surveyed the high impact technology for the next 5 years. In the next 5 years, we asked our respondents, say, which technology will have delivered the most supply chain innovation benefits to your organization. And I'm happy. I think the panelists was talking about IoTs. The panelists was talking a lot about telematics. The panelists was also talking about the different systems available on the market space. So these are our survey results. Mobile devices and apps. That's the easiest to hit the ground running. I think that's featured very highly on our so-called particular on our surveys. And you can see, right, when we look at the big ERP systems that we deploy in the market space, whether is it an SAP and on an Oracle and so forth, their last mile delivery, that mobility portion, or that small little carrier that with that 4 or 5 trucks in the market space, there's a gap that a lot of folks are not hitting. And in India, it's easy finding a mobility developer, making sure that everything's on the mobile right now. We have panelists from, we're going to have speakers from Ola, we're going to have speakers from Uber and so forth. So why can't we bring some of that benefits that we've seen in Ola, that we've seen in Uber, onto logistics, onto the trucks itself, onto the container trucks itself, onto the air freight, onto the ocean liner and so forth, right? So another thing is also control tower visibility. I think I spoke about one of the hit points was legacy systems. Silo systems across the organization. It could be your vendor systems. It could be your so-called the different systems that you have done for acquisitions over the years and so forth. How do you have that control tower visibility across that system? So there are technologies out there with control tower visibility to enable you to manage that data, connect that data, so that you run your BI across different databases, not just on that particular silo databases. Warehouse automation and robotics, artificial intelligence and machine learning, IoT, driverless trucks, blockchain, drones, and 3D printing. I think when you look at the priorities within your own organizations, in terms of innovation, where are you going to look at strategizing for the next 3 to 5 years? This is important for you as well. Take a look to compare what your peers in the market space is doing, whether or not it makes sense for you to reprioritize some of your so-called priorities in terms of supply chain innovation. And like I was saying, the question that we say, what systems do you currently use to manage your supply chain? Like I was saying, still a lot of players are still very manual, still on Excel spreadsheet. Right? I see a lot of heads nodding because we are all guilty of this. I speak to 10 customers say certain functions are still very much on Excel spreadsheets. Right? So I think there's opportunities for all of us in terms of innovation. Okay, so investment priorities. So one of the survey points that we picked up was also, where are your investment priorities for the next 3 to 5 years? Transportation, like I was telling you, I think really easy to hit in terms of opportunities for innovation, for cost savings, for collaboration, right? It's something that's ranked really high in terms of visibility among your peers in the market space. Supply chain visibility, warehousing, BI analytics, as well as trading partner connectivity, which is the carrier's connectivity. Okay, I'm running out of time, so bear with me. Okay, let me just quickly sum up. So for more of the survey results, you can download the full report at that particular link. Our booth is right out there, the first booth that once you get out of the door, first booth out there. Feel free to approach me, approach my colleagues. We can have that initial discussion. If you'd like to learn more, if you'd like to have a bit more insights as well, as to what are some of the peers in the market space doing and so forth, we'll be more than happy to have that discussion with you. And with that, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lim. And I request Brigadier Sushil Basin to please come forward to present a token of appreciation to Mr. Lim. Can we hear a round of applause?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the very interesting presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.